Hello everyone. Name of the course is Poetry for Effective Communication. I am Dr. R. Manimuri, Assistant Professor of English, ADM College for Women, Autonomous Nagapattinam. Today we are going to see about the poem Seven Ages of Man written by William Shakespeare. Let us see about the poet first. William Shakespeare was a renowned English poet, playwright and actor. He was born in 1564. Shakespeare was a prolific writer during the Elizabethan and Jacobean ages of British theatre. Shakespeare's plays are perhaps his most enduring legacy. His poems also remain popular to this day. His works include 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. About this poem, especially I have taken today, The Seven Ages of Man. This poem, The Seven Ages of Man, is a part of the play As You Like It, written by Shakespeare, where Jacques makes a dramatic speech in the presence of the Duke in Act 2, Scene 7. The dialogue takes place in Scene 7 of Act 2, where the dreamy philosopher Jacques is telling the Duke Senior and Orlando in the forest of Arden. They are having dinner when Duke Senior confesses to Jacques that he and his men are alone and unhappy, whereas the whole world is full of joy. Through this, the voice of Jacques, Shakespeare sends out a profound message about life and our role in life. The purpose of this reply is partly to console the sad Duke Senior and partly to tell the audience of the play that unhappiness is a part of life and that we all go through certain stages of life. The extract is also regarded as the character's comment on the futility of life. In this drama of life, each one of us plays 7 distinct roles. This, the author says, in the 7 ages of man. These 7 roles begin at birth and ends with death. Let me read out the poem first. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. His acts being 7 ages. At first the infant, mewling and pucking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school, and then the lover, shying like furnace, with a awful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the part, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice in fair round belly, with good capon lint, with eyes severe and beard of format cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose will saved a world too wide. For his strung shank and his big manly voice, turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Lost scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is the second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Let me explain the poem line by line. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their own exits and entrances, and one man in his time plays many roles, his acts being 7 ages. It means This is a famous quoted line and has many implications. Shakespeare is comparing the world to a stage. He finds a similarity between the world and the stage, as in the stage is full of action just like the world. Shakespeare says that all men and women are actors on the stage of the world in the play of life as we live today. The words merely tells us that he regards a singular human life very small and inconsequential in the grand expanse of the world. The speaker is talking about life and death and how they are inevitable. Especially life and death is inevitable. When we should pay attention to here is the plural form of the words exists and entrances. The speaker is not talking only about life and death. He is talking about human relationships as well. People come and go in our lives. Relations are made, broken and re-established. The first part of this line says that a man plays many parts throughout his lifetime. The word parts is not only restricted to the ages, but has a broader implication. It means the different roles we play in life as a child, a parent, a sibling, a spouse, etc. The later part of the line says that a person plays these several parts stretched over 7 acts, which are 7 different ages. At first, the infant mewling and pucking in the nurse's arm. This is the first stage of man. The first stage of life is birth. All life begins with birth. When a child is born, it is completely oblivious to the cares of the world. Infants don't do much. They are dependent on their mother and caretakers. So we see that the speaker establishes the first stage of life as the stage of dependency. Infants have no other way of calling out other than their cry. They used to cry when they want to call the people. Also, they cannot eat and are dependent on their mother's milk. They often vomit. In England of Shakespeare's times, babies were delivered at home by nurses. The mewling and picking in nurses' arms sets a scene of a child born moments ago. But this stage is not just limited to the time period of birth. The stage of life extends till the infant is old enough to go to school. This is the second stage of man. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school. This line says about the schoolboy stage. The infant slowly grows into a child. He no longer needs the complete attention of his parents and custodians, and they send him to school to educate him in the ways of the world, to study the world. But the infant, who has seen only love and adoration from his immediate environment, look reluctantly towards this change. He hesitates to go to school. He whines and cries and throws bad temper to avoid separation from his parents. The parents, vice versa, however, know what is best for their ward and they force him to go to school. They dress him in the school uniform and give him a school bag and make him ready for school. The little child, however, is unwillingly go to school. They force them to go to school. This description of the second stage of a person's life is again a generalization by the writer, as even in his time, it was only a select few who could afford education. Because in those days, most of the people were, especially children, were not allowed to go to school. Most of the children were either homeschooled or learned their way about the world from observation only. This is the next stage. And then the lover, shining like furnace, with a awful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. This stage explains us about the next. The educated youth is in the highest of teenage, when adolescence is set in. The earlier child now views the dreams of love. He witnesses new changes in his mind and body and feels differently than he is done before. His heart is set on love and he pins for his mistress. He writes and sings sad ballads for his mistress, exalting her beauty and form. For the lover, the world is all roses and cherry blossom. He sees beauty in every aspect of life. He sees beauty everywhere. This is the period in a person's life when he witnesses beauty and the feeling of amorous love and infatuation. Next stage is a stage of soldier. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the part, jealous in the honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. This stage explains us about the stage of soldier. This is the age that the youth grows into a soldier. The tender lover slowly transforms into a soldier in the battlefield of life. Soldiers takes up strange oaths of faithfulness and honor and live by them. The speaker says that a soldier is bearded like a panther. He is courageous and full of vigor, with a never back down like of attitude. They passionately protect their honor and don't hesitate to quarrel in proving their point. At this stage of life, honor and reputation are very valuable to them, and they will ever prefer death to guard their reputation. Thus, this age is marked with courage and vigor and is the stage of life when a youth becomes a man. Next stage. This is the stage of justice. And then the justice in fair round belly, with good capon lint, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise sauce and modern instances, and so he plays his part. This is about the soldier as he goes into middle age, is seen as a judge, passing on judgment and protecting the people with law and order. This again is a generalization. The profession chosen by Shakespeare in the dialogue are not necessarily how people lived their life, nor it is any indicator that the same order is followed in the professions. The justice is shown as round-bellied, well-to-do man, eating chicken, which the speaker humorously says is lined in his belly in the form of fat. His eyes are severe and his beard is of a formal cut, which suggests his stern nature. He is full of wisdom and modern examples where they are relevant. He carries about his part, imparting knowledge and carrying out the duty of justice. And this is the last stage. No, this is the sixth stage of life. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon. With spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved a world too wide for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again towards the childish tremble, pipes and whistles in his sound. These lines says about the sixth age of man. According to the speaker, is the entry of the middle-aged man into elderliness. The person progressively becomes lean and frail. He looks like an old fool in his ragged slippers. The old age comes with a gradual weakening of the sense, and old age is often seen wearing corrective glasses and pouch on their side to carry their things. The youthful, strong frame of the soldier now slowly reduces to the lean and bony stature of the old man stage. The speaker makes a humorous comment that the person's shrunken bottom saves a wide space for his equally shrunken legs in his pose. That is just another way to say that the person becomes slim and lank. The once roaring and manly voice of the soldier and the commanding voice of the justice reduces in pitch and volume, becoming something akin to childlike in the old man. His voice whistles as he talks. We see the effect of time and age upon a person. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is the second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Old age is a chagrined childhood. The last of the ages is old age, leading into the finality of death. The speaker calls it the last scene of all. In the play of the person's life, on the stage of life, the world. We see a continuation of a metaphor developed in the former lines of the dialogue in this final section. Shakespeare calls the journey of a person through the 7 ages a strange and eventful history. He describes this final stage of life as a second childishness, where the person enters into oblivion. Old age causes a loss of all senses, and the person is left with nothing. We see a return to dependency in this stage of life. The final line is characteristic as it represents the negative aspect of life and can be related to biblical references. It is argued that Shakespeare chose the 7 stages of life to mimic the biblical reference to the 7 deadly sins, and in that respect, the sans everything phase can be regarded as an experience of hellish life. Thus, from Jack's soliloquy, we witness a journey from infancy to infirmity through the 7 ages of man. Conclusion of the poem. The poem is a philosophical reflection of life and our role in it. It breaks down the complexities of human life into exceedingly simple stages and makes a sweeping generalization as to the manner in which an individual progresses in life. The entirety of human life and the poet's view on it is covered in the dialogue of Jack's is merely 7 sentences. Thank you.